Hello and welcome to Simply Technical. It's been a little bit since we've recorded. I'd say about a week and a half. We had a big storm.
Yeah. An inland hurricane.
Inland hurricane. Inland. Yeah, I mean, I was out of power from Sunday till this afternoon, which is today's Thursday. So 4 days basically. Had to throw everything away in the freezer. But
so what was it like living in the 1800s again?
So actually, sleeping was horrible, but since my parents live semi close by, I stayed there for the most part. But since I have dogs, I had to come back and let them out, so I couldn't sleep there. And they can't take care of them because we don't have they don't have a fence. But so it's been a little bit. It's been probably a week. Next episode should be. I think I'm going to upload it tonight, and you'll see it tomorrow, which is Friday. But thanks for stopping in. Thanks for watching, listening, whatever you're doing on YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you download, listen, give us your feedback. You can always email us at let's see, it's realsimplytechnical@gmail.com. If you have anything you want us to talk about, discuss, argue on, we'd probably like to avoid politics.
We can do a little bit of politics.
We could probably do a little bit of politics, but for the most part, we'll try to avoid it some. But if you have suggestions, that'd be fantastic. If not, we'll just keep doing our own thing. We obviously don't have a guest today. It'll just be us talking about some local things, talking about jobs, manufacturing, and new Maps 4. Oh, sorry, back to our stuff. We're supposed to be adding a website pretty soon, and a blog pretty much, I guess, from one of our friends, Cole. He does sports writing on the side, I guess just for himself, and posts it for everyone to see it. And I was like, hey, post it to our site when we get it up. Yeah, do it for us. Can't pay anything, but
no, they don't have to know that. We're paying them.
He'll get a check at the end of the year. But yeah, so we're supposed to add a website. Make sure to follow us on social medias to get that update when that's going to come out. But things are looking up. Things are increasing for us. Starting to get a little more involved in it.
Yep.
But so, like I said, Maps 4. Keaton, do you want to go over what all that entails? That it's an Oklahoma vote coming up.
Yeah. So Maps, if you're not familiar, Maps is what's pretty much built Oklahoma City into what it is right now, along with the Thunder moving here. It's completely revolutionized OKC's economy. So the most recent Maps project just got proposed, I think, on Monday, and they've got 16 different projects on this one, and it seems to be a lot more. I guess I could say like social minded.
So for people to hang out basically downtown, is that what you're saying?
No, it's different. So most of Maps has been like downtown beautification and
the trees and parks and stuff. Yeah,
the convention center. They built Bricktown with Maps 1, and
so this spans back very far. Maps does.
Yes.
I mean, Bricktown's been around as long as I can remember.
Yeah, so like 90s.
Yeah,
and then. But this one is like, it's got a bunch of like senior wellness. It's got a mental health and addiction center, a bunch of youth centers.
So more outreach kind of things.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So you said youth center?
Yes. So the youth centers would be, I think, let's see, what is it?
Sorry, we're reading. So we don't miss anything. We're making sure we got everything on the list.
Yeah, so it would be like an after-school and summer program for, the less fortunate areas of Oklahoma City.
At-risk kids downtown.
Yeah, it's at-risk kids.
In the inner city, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I don't think of Oklahoma City as having an inner... I mean, obviously we have an inner city, but...
But it's not the biggest.
It's not... Because since we're like the 50th market in the U.S., but... I mean, we only have, including the metro area, we only have like 1 million people or so.
Yeah, it's not huge.
So it's not huge, but
it's growing.
It's really growing, quick. Yeah. And Maps has helped that.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like taxes, you can't deny that it's helped Oklahoma City in general.
Yes.
Or Oklahoma City and Oklahoma in general.
Yeah. So the tax they are doing. So previously for Maps 3, the tax was just a penny sales tax. So pretty much added 1% sales tax from 4.5 to 5.5%, and this vote for Maps 4 is an extension of that sales tax. And to me, a sales tax is a lot nicer than an income tax because you have the choice to not buy something.
You could buy it from out of state or something if you wanted.
Yeah, so I really I like the idea of a sales tax, and being more libertarian minded, I typically would not be for taxes, but you have to have some taxes to run a city. And I think to grow a city, you have to be a little liberal with your taxes. And then eventually, once it's grown quite a bit, then you can start to cut that off.
Well, that's why I think a good reason or a good thing with these MAPS program is they have pretty much a end date.
Yes, so it's they're all temporary. So this would just be an extension of the previous sales tax for 8 more years. So,
which the last one was 2009, you said,
yes.
Or I don't know if you said that, but 2009, and it ended soon or now.
Ending soon, and
so they're trying to stay on top of it and get it. Yeah.
And get all these new projects.
So it's good for the city. Obviously, we need to keep our city nice and clean if we want people to come here. More people here, you might think maybe a little less taxes because you have more people being taxed. So, but one of to play kind of devil's advocate with that is I've always heard the turnpike is one of those taxes. I guess it's a tax on you driving on it, but
yeah.
I've always heard, we'll stop paying. You don't have to pay for it anymore when it's paid off.
When the turnpike's
turnpike's paid off, and they just keep extending it. That's just a devil's advocate to that side.
Yeah, I've heard though that the turnpike. I don't know how true this is because my dad's always complaining about it. The turnpike is owned by private investors. It's not a state-owned thing, so they are the ones
that control that.
Back. Yeah.
Huh. I mean, I don't really know that. Obviously, it's not a taxed thing because you pay when you go on.
Yeah.
I like that it's paid. I like that it's paid because then it keeps less people on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have less maintenance because less people are on it. 2, you don't have near as much traffic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's super helpful. But that's, like I said, to play devil's advocate to it's just an extension of the last tax. Yeah, but what about MAPS 5 when they extend it?
Yeah,
so it's temporary until we vote it down, basically.
Yeah, and people are only going to vote for it as long as it's
producing good. Yeah.
Yes. So MAPS 3, I think we've seen a lot of good and a lot of good still to come, especially with the new convention center. Have you passed?
No, I haven't. I haven't. Not since the last Thunder game I've been to.
Oh man, it is starting to look. It's huge. I think it's going to be one of the biggest in the nation.
So the convention center they're building are they redoing the Cox Convention Center?
The Cox Convention Center is for sale right now.
Oh, it's for sale.
Yeah. So if you want to buy a studio,
simply technical,
then it's up for grabs.
Huh? That's interesting. I mean, I remember going to the Blazers hockey games down there when I was really little. You're from Tulsa, but
no, I used to come down here. I used to go to Monster Truck Rally.
Monster Truck Rally. That was in they had some in the Cox Convention Center. They had some in the State Fair.
Oh, maybe that's where it was.
But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I always remember them complaining about the Cox Convention Center when we played hockey because obviously hockey you need super smooth surfaces. Well, since they built that parking garage underneath, it wasn't as quote unquote stable as they wanted it to be when it first went up.
God.
And so there's like slight deviations in the concrete. I mean, we're human. We can't be perfect, especially back in
then.
the 90s.
Yeah. Or I bet it was earlier than that.
You think I don't know when it went up. I just remember going there in the 90s.
Yeah.
But so when you buy it, beware. Just because of the hockey players always complained about how the ice wasn't smooth because the parking garage underneath. So
that's hilarious.
But so where's this new convention center going up? I haven't kept up with MAPS 3 at all. So
it is on. It's just past whenever you're walking to the what is the Thunder's
Chesapeake Energy?
Chesapeake Energy Arena. It's just past.
So it's probably on the south side.
South side, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
and that's just a park or.
So they built that the new Scissortail Park that they're opening, I think in a month actually.
Yeah, I know it's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah, they're opening in a month. So Scissortail Park is like right next to it, and they will open the convention center. I think not next summer, but the summer after that. So the framing is all built,
Okay, yeah.
so you can see the outline of it, and it's huge.
Well, I remember them clearing off that dirt patch when we were at banquet
Yeah.
when we were seniors, but
From that Devon Tower.
from the Devon Tower, yeah. So, like I said, what's going to go into that? Do you know?
What's going to go into
In the new convention center?
I don't think I've seen what's going to happen, but
it's a concert venue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a concert venue. It's going to be a large scale event center. So,
that's good.
Comic-Con or something going on there.
Let's hope so. Some other conventions that I like, hopefully they'll be there eventually. But that'll be good because I know that it's been kind of a pain for a while because obviously the Cox Convention Center is not very good.
Yeah.
We haven't kept up with it all that much.
It's awful.
So, for its time, it was great. Or when we were there, when we were enjoying it, then it was good. But with the new updates to the Chesapeake Energy Arena, then it looks super outdated.
The thing about the convention centers are, if you can get a functioning convention center to have large-scale conventions and events, then that stimulates the rest of the economy because people are coming around from
all over. People
buying into our home. There's a ton of home restaurants in downtown and all their other businesses, and that just starts up the economy. And plus, I think it actually puts Oklahoma City a little bit more on the map as people start to realize, oh, this place is actually pretty cool because it
might be hot, but
it might be hot, but it's not as hot as
Houston
Austin or Houston. Yeah,
and there's less traffic.
That's true
for the most part.
For now,
except for when I'm going to work and I'm running late. That's when there's the most traffic
every time.
But that'll be good. They've always had scheduling conflicts with the Chesapeake Energy Arena, so like with the Thunder during Thunder season.
Yeah.
I know one of our friends. You probably didn't know this, but he would tear down the floors and stuff when concerts were going on. So just a pain. So maybe
that does suck.
Some other people that I know that worked for the Thunder organization or near or close to the Thunder organization.
Yeah.
They always having to tear down for concerts. So hopefully that will help that.
Yeah.
I'm maybe
sure
we'll have two concerts going on at the same time.
That would be
Vanilla Ice and Florida Georgia Line will be next to each other.
A great combo.
I don't think Vanilla Ice could get into one of those. Our huge convention centers, they probably wouldn't sell out. Okay, so what else is going on with Maps 4?
So we've got several of the socially aware projects. The next one is they're putting $140 million more into parks, and I'm assuming it's kind of vague. It seems like it's just all across the
maybe maintenance
the
and
city,
updating them,
maintenance, basketball, and pickleball courts of all things. And
hey, don't down pickleball.
Hey, I used to play pickleball back in high school. It's pretty fun.
I never played, so
it's
somebody out there plays it, obviously.
Yeah, it looks like it's mostly renovations to previous parks.
Maybe they'll put in some more dog parks.
So well, there's already a ton. Can never have too many, I guess.
Yeah. I only know the good one is the Edmond one. That got shut down for algae, blue algae or whatever.
Wait, which one? Not the one next to OC.
Yeah. The one on 33rd and what is that, Boulevard?
Oh, well, I guess it's
open now?
again. Yeah, it's open again.
I know that maybe they put something in the water. Or maybe they just closed down the water section. But I know I saw an article saying, we're shutting down all the parks with ponds because blue algae.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. Last week, my dog was literally swimming in the lake. So I took him to the vet. Don't worry, guys. I took him to the vet. I don't know how you treat that. But it's good to keep our parks updated. We don't want them to run down and rust. I don't know, $140 million sounds like a lot.
It is kind of a lot. That's actually the largest allocation of funds, it looks like.
It's also the most vague.
Yeah. Which kind of worries me. And then
I'm kidding.
Another big thing they're addressing is a few homeless shelters. So
okay, that's good.
Which is good because I feel like homelessness has been an increasing problem recently,
especially around my house.
Really?
Well, since we live so close to the highway, there's that huge underpass, so people are Northwood Expressway. Not to give out my location, but Northwood Expressway is super busy, so they always stand on the side. Sometimes I see them when I go to Walmart, You just always try to help out when you can. And I mean,
Yeah.
I would hope that somebody would not vote down Maps 4 because it's helping the homeless. That would be you're a horrible person. You would never say that publicly, but you're a horrible person if you vote down because of homelessness. And you can take that to the bank. But that's good. I mean, it helps social. I mean, those people obviously need it. Psych, what'd you say? Children's and was it just children's or for the psychology psych?
Oh, like
what was the first thing? Sorry.
It was just a homelessness. It's kind of just addressed as a large general.
Well, I didn't know if there was mental
allocation.
health stuff.
Well, they actually do have a mental health and addiction center that they're putting
that's good.
in, which is really good. I'm sure
hopefully can get people back on their feet.
Yeah, that'll cross over with homelessness. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, that's great. I mean,
but now the more exciting.
You can't give too much money to
more exciting things that
kind of stuff.
So the Chesapeake Energy arena is getting an overhaul apparently, and I think it's vague in this, but I'm pretty sure it's that Thunder Alley that they're trying to build. I don't know if you've seen the concepts. They're pretty much putting in this almost like a district south of Chesapeake, so I guess right near the new convention center, and it's going to be called like the Thunder Alley or the new Thunder Alley.
Yeah, whatever they come up with.
Yeah, they'll put like several restaurants and businesses in there, and it looks awesome in the concepts, but it kind of sucks at the time it's coming because right now the Thunder are going to be rough for a while.
Nobody will be there.
Yeah.
I actually hot take in the middle of this, but I think the Thunder will still sell out a lot of their games.
Yeah, I think they will. I think this year they will, and if they're horrible. Terrible, next year's going to be a drag.
Hey, that's when you buy tickets on the low.
Yeah, get your season tickets then.
Well, don't get them then because that's when I'm going to be buying them. So wait, and then I'll buy, and then you guys can buy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my friend, he has season tickets, and I think he bought them. So they were on like a 6-year wait list or something, and then Kevin Durant, he bought them before Kevin Durant left, right after that season ended. And then Kevin Durant left, and everyone canceled their season tickets, and he's already got his season tickets now.
Oh, wow.
Well, last year he did. And he lives in Arkansas, so he was planning on moving here next year, right around the time when he was getting his tickets, but didn't work out.
Oh. Well, if he needs us home to somebody.
Yeah, I took a few, so it was nice. Thanks, Connor.
Is that the Connor in your wedding?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'll get to meet him, and then maybe he'll give me some tickets.
Oh, he probably will. Okay, and now the last thing that I'll talk about on maps, and I think the most exciting thing is the innovation district they're building. So it's actually going to be right next to where I am working at down at OU, and it's pretty much just going to be a large. What it seems to me is like it's going to be a large STEM community for startups and businesses, so like pharma jobs, biotech jobs. It looks like it has a lot of data science jobs being put in there, and so I think, to me, there's nothing that is more important for stimulating an economy than thinkers and entrepreneurs that are not just normal run-of-the-mill but inventive tech entrepreneurs. How about that?
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, so in OKC, Silicon Valley.
Okay, Silicon Valley.
I mean, I don't know if we have the brain power.
Not yet, but we're getting there.
That's the attraction of for those people.
Do you know what all it's supposed to include? I don't know what kind of, since I'm not an inventor. I'm a designer, but not necessarily an inventor. I guess I'm an engineer, but
it'll have a large engineering presence.
Well, I'll go there and then.
So I mean, the idea of biology and basic research is, I mean, most people in basic research don't plan on starting their own business, or
medical facility, I guess.
Yeah. But there is a large subset who want to see their research taken off into a business, and to take an idea, you need to have that engineering aspect that can actually implement it into humans They can design. Maybe it's a medical device or maybe it's a drug, and I think this is a good way to
mesh it together. It sounds like.
So it's a combination of the disciplines, pretty much. So on this, the industries that it's going to be serving are actually aerospace is going to be a large.
Well, I mean, to go off of that, I mean Tinker.
Yeah,
it's the largest Air Force base in the United States, I believe, at least continental.
Yeah.
I don't know about overseas, which is good and bad, but it brings in a lot of jobs. And for those of you that don't know, if you work in the aerospace industry and I don't know if you have to be just an engineer, but you work in the aerospace industry, you don't have to pay any state income tax for 5 years.
Really?
It's to attract aerospace engineers to, like Chance. He's not an aerospace engineer, but he works aerospace and he's an engineer.
Does he have to pay income tax?
No state income tax for 5 years.
That's crazy.
I mean, you still have to pay federal, which is the majority of it. But
yeah.
So that's kind of another draw, and it seems like they're trying to expound on that.
Yeah.
Which is good because obviously you want Oklahoma City to grow. The only bad thing about growing is you have more traffic, and I hate traffic. But I mean, that's just a byproduct of.
Well, that's why they're already expanding I-35. Yeah. You see all this work. They're definitely planning ahead, which it sucks to go through it right now.
Well, they've never planned ahead before now.
Yeah.
so they might as well start now.
You got to start now. You got to start at some point. So aviation is the first thing on there. Energy is actually another part, which we have a pretty large energy sector between
solar, oil and gas, and also
gas. Yeah.
I read an article that came out last week. I read it today that Oklahoma is one of 4 or 5 states that produces at least 40% of their energy, like energy consumption, from solar and wind.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I understand the wind. It's freaking
everywhere
here all the time.
Texas is number 1.
Yeah.
Kansas is another. Basically, the Midwest.
Yeah.
And I think South Dakota, North Dakota, I think are in there. I'm not for. I know Texas is first, and I think Oklahoma's second.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's 44% of their energy is from wind and solar, which OG&E just built a huge solar farm over on 10th Street. I don't know how many panels they built, but it was huge. It took up at least an acre or two.
Yeah.
And I've only driven by, so I have no idea how big the complex actually is. But Texas, I think, was 46 or 47% of their energy, which is crazy because they have so many people.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Now, obviously, energy per capita for Oklahoma would still be low, even for renewable energy, but that's still great. I mean,
it's a step in the right direction without forcing things down.
OG&E, obviously, huge company and huge. They're not the only, but they're definitely 90% of all customers I feel like go through OG&E in Oklahoma. So they started that huge solar farm, which hats off to them. I don't know who's doing all these wind farms or windmills, but
I heard you get paid like
a ridiculous amount,
$8,000 per windmill per year. So you get these guys who have acres and acres and acres of land. They got like 100 windmills. You just live off your $800K.
They probably don't even produce any energy. They're just like, we're just gonna build a windmill.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I mean,
if you want to invest in land in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, just put some windmills out there,
and you'll pay for itself in a while. I mean, I know those things are expensive, but
yeah,
if you're producing energy too, it'll pay off. For that way.
Well,
maybe
it was the state of Oklahoma doesn't pay you the $8,000. It's on average the energy you're getting paid to produce.
Okay. So it's not like a tax refund or a
buyback. It's a long time since I remember reading it, but I pretty sure I remember it just being
an average of 8,000 per windmill. Okay,
yeah.
That's good information. But yeah, that's crazy that we produce so much. But I mean, renewable. I would think that California would be one of the highest ones. I know they have a ton of people, but as green as they are, or they claim to be, you would think.
Have you been to LA?
Yes, but I don't look up.
Yeah, it's
but yeah, so I would think that California being as
conscious,
renewable energy, green conscious, or renewable conscious, that they would have more. But hey, it's probably a little bit easier for Oklahoma to do it because we have fewer people.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, solar isn't as viable of an option as wind in certain areas.
I don't know about wind when it comes to. Yeah, you can't. I mean, California, LA, you couldn't put a windmill.
Yeah. Well,
you probably could on a building, but
yeah. But solar, you're not getting power for
6 hours a day or something. But I don't know about efficiencies when it comes to windmills. I know that.
Me neither.
I know that solar panels are only like, I think they're about 20% now, 22%. They're getting up there, but so I guess sorry off the tangent, but that was good. Maps for
yeah, still on the innovation district. So we said energy, healthcare. That's the bioscience and the pharma side. I'm sure that they're going to have some more specialized hospitals there put in. They're actually building another building or another bed center for the OU hospital. It's pretty large. I think it'll be like 250 beds, which if you've ever been into Presby at OU, it is definitely needs
some improvements.
Yes.
Well, I've always heard, I think as OU, there's always a hospital downtown that is like, if you get sick, you don't go there because you might die.
Well, yeah, that's a teaching hospital, so you got all the young
nurses
working on you, but
all the male nurses, huh? All the male.
Hey, they won top hospital in the state now, so they're back.
Oh, maybe they just maybe it was
it's
Corey.
Just a really. I worked there, so it was just. I mean, it's just not pretty inside.
It just needs updates.
It looks terrible compared to children's.
OU. I know, obviously OU. Oklahoma University, but do they own it?
Yeah. So,
because I know it was government for a while, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was government, but I think it was investors, and investors still have a stake in the hospital, I believe. But I think the contract is expiring soon, so they're gonna get this flood of income, and I'm sure OU is real. I'm assuming that OU is very focused on this healthcare industry because you're going to lose. Colleges as a whole are going to start losing money, and OU, I'm sure, realizes that. And like, okay, we can't just take these losses from the college. We got to move into another field, and so they are investing heavily into their hospitals, their research, and this innovation district is going to play a huge part in OU's work because they're hoping that researchers are going to
flock to
discover something at OU, and then to say, hey, I'm going to spin out a company. We're going to take the company over here, and OU gets a portion of that IP that the researchers discovered since it was done at their university. I don't know how much they get, but it's
a portion
bound to be substantial.
Yeah, I mean, if say it was just 10%, I mean I
think it's more than that. Honestly, I think it's probably like
25,
50.
Yeah,
because they're paying the
students or researchers. Yeah, I guess I always said students,
so yeah. I mean, I don't know how much it is, but that's a huge draw because biotech and pharma, these companies, they don't get sold for less than $50 million,
or even just their product getting sold to. Yeah. I mean, I guess you probably sell your company as well. If you're getting rid of your main product, you probably sell your company.
Yeah, that's how it always works in biotech. Is people want to spin out their company, and then they just want to sell the company and the IP off to a big biotech, a big pharma company that'll do the work for it, and then they can just go back and be comfy in their lab again. So, I mean, that's what I want to do in the future. It's a very viable
field if you can discover something.
If you can discover something, if you have the creative mindset to translate your research into humans rather than just a mouse or a test tube.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long, long road for that kind of stuff, for medical things. But, I mean, that's... it kind of goes back to big businesses and how they're usually not the ones to create the product. It's usually the little guy that will create... I know we talked about this a long time ago. I think it was the first podcast, which if you haven't listened to, go back and listen to it. that it's usually not the successful company is usually not the first one to make it. Like Apple, I'm pretty sure this is the example we used last time. Apple was the first to make the iPhone, and a smartphone, but they're the first to standardize it and make it huge. And now everybody wants an iPhone, or did want an iPhone. Now they're probably 50-50 or 70-30 or whatever. But I think that's what these big companies do. So does big pharma companies?
Yeah.
Do they do research themselves, don't they?
They do research themselves, but I think there's this.
And you might not know exactly, but
yeah,
if you have somewhat of an insight.
I know they do R&D, but I think it's become a lot more common of a model to
buy the company,
pretty much buy people's R&D, because R&D is expensive and creativity is limited to the people
that you have working for you. Yeah,
and when it comes to big businesses, so the difference between academia and pharma is academia you have freedom. You can do whatever, you can work on whatever you want, whatever you've written your grant for, which it should be whatever you want.
Yeah.
And in a big company, you don't have that freedom. They're saying, "Oh shoot, that your heart disease pill is not a viable market because say someone
there's another
else,
one came out with a better one, or
there's a better one. We can't charge as much as we want to charge for it, and we're not going to spend $1 billion researching this just to lose money on it."
Yeah.
And so you have that sort of bureaucracy blocking it, and then just the fact that they can outsource the R&D and just buy a small company for $50 million is
buy their research, basically.
Yeah, an incredible investment. And it's really nice for the people who do the research because
they could sell it off and then they go back to their job, basically.
Yep. It's a really comfortable.
You basically just get it's almost like a signing bonus or hey, you found this. Congratulations. Yeah. Here's a bonus.
Yes,
and it's 50 million or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, you might not be able to answer this, but does OU want you to sell it? Or do they want you to... So say you find something. Say you find a cure for something or a pill to reduce symptoms or something. Whatever it is. You find something. Does OU want you to stay or do they want you to create your own company?
I think OU would want you to create... They would probably want you to create your own company because that IP that you've got and OU's got is going to become more valuable because it's going to be... it's going to look a lot better in a market situation whenever you've actually spun out a company. But if you're just holding a potential pill...
Can the OU not produce out that pill, I guess?
Let's not... I guess I'm saying pill. Let's just call it like a therapy because I think medicine's going away from the pill idea. But say you're just holding a therapy and this patent you've got, but you're not going to spin out a company. Well... If I'm a big pharma company and I'm looking for things to absorb, I'm not going to be very confident in someone's patent if they're not spinning out a company.
If it hasn't produced anything, basically.
So maybe you've probably get like 100x less offer for it if you're not spinning out a company. But a lot of these guys, they spin out. They work with a venture capitalists, and they spin out their company, and they just sit on the board and they stay at their job. And someone else
runs the company, basically.
Yeah, there's pretty much like a large swath of
a business
CEO, business people that are like,
I will run this for you.
Yeah, they are hounds on these things.
Well, I mean, that makes... I mean, I don't know how often these things come out because I don't keep up with all that medical stuff. But, I mean, that would be a huge thing. You see a scientist that doesn't... Maybe they know about business, maybe they don't. Or scientist, researcher. And you're capitalizing on, hey, I know business, and this guy might not... He might know it, but he might not know it very well, like me. I can turn it into a company or help turn it into a company. And then we sell it in 5 years, and I make 10... Say you just made 10% of being CEO, or even you get absorbed in the new company.
Yeah. Or
the bigger company. I mean, you still are making a ton of money.
Oh, they're cashing out big time. It is one of the... It's the best way for someone who's in academia to make money if they actually cared about. Most of them don't care about money, which is why they do it, because academia is not a high-paying.
Well, it's basically government
field.
work. I mean,
it is basically government work, so you're just working off grants usually. So this, if they want to make money, that's pretty much the only way, or one of the best way to make money.
The easiest. I say easiest. Once you've found it, it's the easiest.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean, the hard part is finding a.
And there's very, very, very few people that do end up doing that, but it follows that Pareto distribution. There's probably like 20% of scientists, or maybe even less than that, producing 80% of the patents and the companies. So especially if you go to MIT and Harvard, there's dudes that have like 2,000 patents. I think Robert Langer has over 2,000 or some
Wow.
ridiculous like that. And
He's just churning out money, then,
just
basically.
spinning out companies.
But he
left and right.
still does his research.
He still just stays at MIT and does his research. I think the thing is, whenever you get into business, it becomes limited. Like, these people, they do it because
They want to help,
the
or they
unlimited creativity, the opportunities to work on
to
whatever you
discover
want to
discover things
to generate new knowledge.
and explore of the science field. Basically,
Yeah.
We don't really have explorers anymore of finding land somewhere.
Yeah.
We have explorers of the medical field.
Finding exactly.
Not necessarily cures, but I mean there are cures, but pills, whatever.
Building a foundation of understanding on the human body and how it works, and how other creatures work, and how, say, like a zebrafish, it could regenerate or I think if a third of its heart gets cut out, it can regenerate it, which humans can't do that. So people want to study, how does this work? How can we get this
Into
ability
us,
into
yeah.
humans? So that kind of stuff is just fascinating, and I'm sure that's why most of scientists want to do science. They just want to discover new knowledge. And
So, do you think they're almost? So you say they want to do it for knowledge. How many of them do you think do it for clout, or to gain popularity? Like, hey, I'm Keaton, and I discovered 7 cures, or whatever.
I'm sure there's a large amount, because scientists typically seem to have large egos.
The
And I
good
think
ones, the good ones,
the good ones, yeah.
the bad ones, like you don't though. So
No, I have a big.
I'm kidding.
I have a big ego, man. But I'm bad. So that's a real
two.
bad combination.
That's bad. Yeah. Anyways, he's not a bad worker, guys.
You don't know that.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Egos.
But I asked about
Oh,
how
yeah, so
do they do it for clout, basically.
Clout, I would say legacy. I like the idea of legacy, and personally, that's a big reason I want to do it. Is what do you leave behind whenever you pass away? Like, you have your family and your friends that'll remember you, but
In your material things.
Which who cares about the material?
You don't care about that, but your
But
not ancestors, your descendants care about maybe some.
yeah, 2 generations later, and
That's gone. Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, so you can there's very few scientists who get remembered, it's the sad truth, but I think it's something that a lot of people probably work for and hope that they can leave some kind of legacy.
Well, I'm sure that in the medical field, they leave a very lasting legacy.
Yes.
But maybe in the grand scheme of the engineers and the CEOs, they don't know about it. But the medical field is forever. If you discover something, the medical field could forever be changed.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea for me, when you decide, I was really torn between medical school and research, the science pathway. It was like, okay, I die, and I'm a doctor. I die. I don't save any more lives. I'm a researcher.
You're remembered for what you had saved, I guess, or families you've impacted.
Which, I guess I don't even want to say remembered, which I do care about legacy. Probably too much. It's probably not that important of a thing for.
No wonder you're so involved with Elon Musk or
humans to care about, but I do care about it a little bit. So, but the idea to me is, you die and you can't save any more lives. As a scientist, if you have really contributed to the research, maybe you haven't even discovered a therapy. Maybe you have just paved the way for a new field that someone else 50 years from now is going to use the research that you worked on and discover some kind of therapy. that is whenever millions of lives are affected forever. And so, in essence, you can say you've kind of like changed the world in a way. And I don't think you get that. You get to change individuals' worlds as a doctor, but not in the grand scheme of things. So that was a big push for me to go into science.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, for all you potential researchers or doctors, I mean, I'm sure that's very, if you care about legacy, I feel like that's an easy choice.
Yeah.
If you care about half and half, if you
want to make money, just go be a doctor, because you're probably not going to discover something that makes you millions, more than likely, and you aren't going to make very much as a researcher. So if you want money, become a doctor. But if you want to impact future generations, could impact future future generations, and even just outside of that, more of a balance between, like, as a doctor, you might be working 80 hours a week. That can happen in science. You can do however much of work you want to, because it really comes down to your creative input. To me, is what it seems like. I haven't been doing this very long. It's still pretty new to me, but I like the idea of solving complex problems. I think
maybe you should have been an engineer.
No 2 days are the same is kind of what I'm saying. So as a doctor, you probably don't have the same days, but you see the same cases. You see the same. I mean,
it's a different person, but it's the same.
Yeah,
same symptoms. Same.
Yeah, they had the same general diseases, and especially whenever you get so specialized as a doctor that you're just treating
kidneys.
Yeah, say, or you're doing Alzheimer's, and you're not seeing huge differences between patients. I feel like it would become very repetitive
and probably disheartening.
And it is, yeah. It's
like, especially an incurable disease like Alzheimer's or dementia.
Yeah,
and at least incurable as of now. But
doctors can't.
They can only prescribe what they have.
So much, yeah. And as a scientist, you don't have to face the heartache of having a patient that you've had for years and them dying, or
giving them too much medication,
or them losing
a loved one.
Yes, a loved one, or just patients that have dementia and aren't the same person anymore.
Yeah,
like it's a heartbreaking thing to see, and in science, I don't think you have to see that or as much, and I think you should try to put yourself in that situation so you have a little bit more of a picture to say, why am I doing this? What's the grand scheme of things? Because at some point you're going to be pigeonholed into a lab and not see the grand scheme of things. But
that's an issue, I'm sure, for researchers.
It probably is.
Especially, I mean, you're so new, you might not know, or you probably don't know, but your opinion on it still matters. That, okay, I've been doing research for 12 years on maybe not the same thing, but maybe two different things.
Same thing. A lot of them do the same.
So you've been doing research on the same therapy for 12 years, and you see no end in sight. Yeah, that's going to be disheartening.
Yeah, and you probably do become a little pigeonholed in your view, and you kind of lose sight of what you worked for in the first place. And I don't know how many people do that. From what I've seen, the people I work with are very passionate about what they do, but they're also very young. So maybe once they get older, they don't feel that way. But it's got to be motivating if you spend a little bit of time with people that are affected by whatever you're working on. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it's just increases that passion that got you
that drive
in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And this is kind of something I just thought of, and I kind of look at from an engineering perspective. You said that you might be doing the same research for a really long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always good to get another pair. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know about this. I don't know, when you work on something, are you the only one?
Yeah.
So it's almost good to almost rotate.
to change projects and...
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, you'll have a slower startup. Like your person, say you're working on drug A and I'm working on drug B.
Yeah.
We've both been working for respectively 6 years, 10 years or something. Well, my outlook is going to be the same day in and day out. I feel like I haven't tried this, but eventually I'm going to run out of ideas.
Yeah.
And so it'd almost be good to either, trade notes or like switch and say, hey, I haven't tried this. This person tried this. I'll try that.
Yeah. So that's the other big thing about research. It's very collaborative. So, you're constantly reading papers, getting new ideas, new points of view on maybe you're working on this protein, maybe you're working on this phospholipid, and most people are doing more than one project at a time.
Okay.
And it kind of gives you a broader view, and then at the same time other people are working on the exact same thing, but they're coming at it from a different perspective, and you might get together and work with them on it because maybe you have the biochemistry abilities and maybe they have the genetics mindset, or maybe they have computational prowess, which is incredibly important for science, but a lot of scientists don't have that ability, and so you kind of just trade. You ask, okay, you work on this, I work on this, we'll both get a paper, you'll be first author, I'll be second author, and it's, I think from what I've seen, it's very collaborative.
So I do that with my work most of the day. So I basically design cabinets, but a lot of times I run into other issues with, since I design living quarters, I have to design drain lines, water lines, and I'm still learning since I've only been there. Actually, my 1-year anniversary is coming up next week, but I'm constantly going to my boss or even some of my coworkers that are working with living quarters day in and day out, and I say, okay, you have this issue. This is what I think, but you might have a better solution.
Yeah.
What's your take? And like, especially my boss, he's been working in the business. He doesn't do living quarters, but he's built homes, and so he has that mindset of, we can't do that because of this and this, or he also has he comes at it, since I'm new, he comes at it from a material cost saving and a labor savings. Since I'm new, I don't have that mindset. My mindset as of now is efficiency.
Yeah. Because
my internship 2 years ago, when I was a junior or just finished junior year of college, got an internship, and all we did was efficiency. We worked on manufacturing processes. So I think of, well, if I can make this part the same size as this, if I can move things around, they can do it quicker because they don't have to move the saw. They don't have to change the angle. They don't have to move the measuring tape. But if I make them the same size, then it's easier for them. They can just do it all at once instead of having to go back and forth. So that's where my mindset is at the time.
Yeah.
But, that's why I always go to my boss. He's always, we can do this. Or, like, I designed a cabinet to take 4 doors, basically.
Yeah.
It was taking 4 doors. Well, my boss was like, well, why don't you change this around so that it only takes 2 doors? And we saved $60 on just that cabinet, because when, $60 for 1,000 trailers a year, that money adds up. So, but there's also that side of, I talk to marketing.
Yeah.
I have to talk to marketing about, hey, I designed this cabinet. Which one do you like better?
Yeah.
Because, I think about the way it looks, because I obviously don't want my product to look bad.
Yeah.
But it's not my main priority. So I do take it to marketing. What do you think about this cabinet? Oh, it would be nicer if you did this, if you moved this door down so that you had more wood showing, or you made it more and I always try to do symmetrical, but make it more symmetrical, and that kind of thing. So I think it's that relating to the medical field, because that's what we're talking about. But it's very important to get other people's point of views.
Yeah, and
that's one of the points of this podcast too.
Especially as the world becomes more specialized. So as technology has advanced, humans have had to adjust and become more specialized. We used to have just surgeons who would do pretty much everything. Think Civil War. They do everything.
They cut your leg off and they took the bullet out of your arm or whatever, your liver.
Yeah. Now we have surgeons who specialize in
heart surgeries or
heart surgery, or even just a specific kind of heart surgery. Like I think it's even more specific. Maybe you have a heart surgeon who is specified for cancer patients, or a pediatric, or not a pediatric cardiologist, but a cardiologist who also has a tilt towards diabetes. So diabetes affects the heart in a different way. So it's like a extremely specialized field, and especially as science advances, you have molecular biologists, you have biochemists, you have computational biologists, you have immunologists. The list goes on and on and on, and there's so much knowledge to know. One human can't know it all, so you have to get the perspective of people who have abilities in different disciplines than you, because quite frankly, you don't know it all, and even if you're the best scientist in the world, you
if you think you know it all, then you need to wake up, buddy.
You're the best immunologist in the world, but you probably don't compare to a mediocre molecular biologist. So, in molecular biology, that's just
in their respective fields.
Yeah.
I think that's super important. And like you said, as we get more specialized, but at some point, it almost becomes too specialized.
Yeah, it's a problem. It causes to me, it causes.
I go to my general doctor, what do you call it? General doctor. Not pediatrician, is it? No,
it's your primary care.
Just primary care doctor. You go to him. He says, "Oh, this is wrong with you. You need to go to this special person who takes care of your blood, who knows about your blood."
You need to pay double.
And then, well, that's the nice thing about insurance. But so you go to them, and then they said, "Well, yeah, I see this, but you need to go see this person because
it's affecting your heart."
Yes, exactly. And so now you have 12 doctors that you visit yearly because they recommend that you see yearly. It just becomes overwhelming with how much specialization there is. But you also, at the same point, you want good care.
Yeah.
Because you don't want... I wouldn't want to go to my primary care doctor and say, hey, my foot hurts. And they say, "Oh, we're gonna have to amputate it," but really, the specialist is like, "Oh no, you just need to do this." That's obviously a extreme.
Yeah.
But you want good care, but at some point, it almost becomes too much.
Yeah, it becomes too much. I think as healthcare evolves and hopefully the prices go down, maybe there'll be some kind of change. But let's leave that out. But let's say as healthcare evolves, it'll become a lot more computer-based, AI-based. So maybe you go to your primary care and the AI diagnoses you and can take you straight to where you need to go. You've only got to go to these two different doctors. Everyone's always going to have a primary care physician.
And you should be going to your primary care physician often.
Yeah, and I could see as the diagnostics get better and the treatments get better, it's going to become a lot more efficient, especially as we cut out the middleman of administration. That's become a major hamper on the.
Well, we're human. We can only go
system.
So fast on that kind of
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, and
well, I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
I also think it's going to become a lot more personalized. It's to where I'm not going to be there's a doctor that says, "Okay, let's take this statin," and it's just a general statin to lower your cholesterol, and maybe in the future we're going to get your blood tests, see the metabolites that are going on in your body, and we're going to say, "Oh, let's use this statin instead. It'll be much more effective for you," because there's tons of statins on the market, and that'll treat you better. Or maybe you have a disease and we're going to say, "Oh, this gene therapy," that's more in the future, more there's already some gene therapies out, but it's not proven yet. But we're going to say, "Oh, let's use this gene therapy. Let's tone down let's use some siRNA and knock down these RNA levels, and you can kind of control what's being expressed to a certain amount, and I think that'll be a lot more of a personalized medicine approach that'll really cut down the amount of visits that people are going to have to make.
Well, this is kind of on subject, but off subject. So now you can almost identify, based on your genes and your family history, you can almost identify what you're going to have. Maybe not to the age, but like you take that DNA test of, what is it, 23andMe?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anything about that stuff, but so like my parents took it.
Yeah.
And you figure out, okay, well, I have family history of this, and I have this gene, so that means I have this kind of